This is the Play Your Position podcast, where we huddle up, call the plays, and inspire you to run your ball into the end zone. Are you ready to score more game-winning touchdowns in your life, business, and career? Then listen up, because it's game time, baby. Now, here's your host, Mary Lou Kaiser.
Hello, Team PYP. Mary Lou Kaiser here. Happy New Year's Eve. 2021 is right around the corner. Some of you listening to this, it will already be 2021. And I think I speak for everyone when I say we are not sad to see 2020 go, despite the fact that for lots of people, 2020 wasn't a bad year. Overall, though, I think we would all agree that 2020 is a year we'd like to close the door on permanently. And here in the Pacific Northwest, where I am recording this episode, we have about 12 hours to go before officially ushering in the new year. Now, in today's episode, I want to do a roundup of 2020, give a shout out to all the amazing guests who said yes to being on the show this year. I could not have done this without you. I posted a video on LinkedIn a couple of days ago about my gratitude towards each guest and also to Tom Schwab of Interview Valet, who consistently sends me amazing people to talk to. I would not have hit 300 this year had it not been for him. I wouldn't have met some of the most incredible humans ever had it not been for my podcast. And Team PYP, this show would not be what it is without you. I want to thank you for being loyal, and for the newer folks out there who've just joined this amazing adventure that I am on and my guests are on. Welcome. I hope that in 2021, I can continue to deliver exceptional content that inspires you to show up and play your position with confidence, self-acceptance, and grace. I can remember vaguely reading about a guy who around 2014 warned everyone about a future global pandemic. And as is the way of predictions, he couldn't say exactly when it would happen. If only we could do that, right? How different 2020 would have been had we only known what was coming. First of all, I would have bought a lot of stock in Charmin and the cardboard industry. I can tell you that because both of those industries, toilet paper and cardboard, had banner years. Now, this is the time of year in normal years when many of us reflect upon the previous 12 months, everything from our health to our relationships, to our finances, to our businesses or careers. And it's no exception. I think people are reflecting this year too. But honestly, like I said at the beginning of the show today, most of us are chomping at the bit to say a firm and final goodbye to a year that was nothing like any of us thought it would be. I look back 12 months ago and what I was planning, and in an episode I dropped earlier this week, I talked about that. My goals were completely thrown asunder when lockdown hit in March. And honestly, I'm okay with it. I made peace with it. It is what it is. And I've been informed through the pandemic about the direction I'm going to go next. So this past week, because it's a quieter time, I have taken time to sit down and dive deep about what I'd like to get done in 2021. I'm thinking about what's next in the new year. And based on the shifts that took place in 2020, I want to share with you a list of 5 things I think it's worthwhile paying attention to in 2021. Category number 1 is education. Online school sucks. This is a mantra everyone from kindergartners to college seniors shouted in 2020, including my own son, who is a college senior, and he and all his friends are really disappointed about the way things went for their last year of college. And my heart breaks. My heart breaks for all the kiddos from 5 years all the way up to early to mid 20s who had the school experience completely transformed, like nothing they signed up for. And it has been heartbreaking. Now, it wasn't just the students complaining. Teachers across the board weren't too happy either. While technology has certainly made getting access to educational content easier than ever, the desire to be with others in a real place for learning and, let's be honest, being social, that hasn't changed. If anything, the pandemic has informed the masses that regular school really wasn't all that bad. And can we please get back to the classroom? I've heard so many stories of parents who had absolutely no idea how hard teachers work. And now that they have been asked to teach, have much more respect for teachers. And I think that's a good thing, quite honestly, because as a former teacher in the traditional educational system, I can remember, there were always jokes and things said about teachers in general. And of course, I was young, and so I took things a little bit more personally. But man, we work hard. Teachers work hard and are way, way underpaid in the public school system for what we do to make the learning experience as great as possible. Those of us who are committed, of course. So school will look different moving forward. I believe this. New approaches to online experiences will be developed that don't suck, and it's not going to happen overnight, but the educational system was already hanging on barely by a thread before the pandemic hit. The overhaul that's coming will bring many positive changes and new opportunities for people who want to make a difference. I believe that, and I'm personally excited about it. Second category is work. Masses of people, as we know, were forced to develop a work from home mindset almost overnight when lockdown hit in mid-March. Some took to that format immediately, and they say, never going back. I'm not going to commute. I'm not going to deal with office politics. I'm not going to be in a cubicle. Done. That's great for them. I'm glad that a lot of companies are recognizing that having a remote workforce actually works. Now, there are others who are not as enamored with wearing yoga pants and a hoodie all day just because why get dressed when you're not going anywhere, right? Working remotely will remain strong through 2021 as things open up again. And people do go back to office buildings in stages, if at all, because of course there are companies who have said, we're done paying huge leases for buildings when we can have a completely remote workforce. I think Twitter is one of those companies. And working remotely will become a bargaining chip for top talent because a lot of really, really in-demand types of people don't want to be chained to commuting to an office 5 days a week. So again, I see this as a positive change brought about by a not so positive event. Third category is healthcare. I feel like I'm cheating with this one because, hello, Bueller, right? Bueller. The pandemic revealed how insanely inadequate America's healthcare system is on a mass scale. Thankfully, smart people are already working on solutions to this problem so that we are far more prepared to handle the volume of sick people showing up in emergency rooms should another crisis hit sometime down the road. Also, I want to give a shout out to the scientists and the medical communities who worked tirelessly to develop a vaccine for our most vulnerable populations, and they developed it in record time. I witnessed my 82-year-old father, who is counted among that vulnerable population. I watched him cheer wildly with his fists pumping in the air on December 8th when the first vaccine was administered to a 90-year-old grandmother in the United Kingdom. Regardless of your personal views about the efficacy of vaccines, this was a watershed moment for science, for many professionals, and in all fairness, it will most likely impact the way we move about the world once travel restrictions are lifted en masse, right? So we won't have these pockets of places that have no restrictions and then pockets of places where lockdown is still at tier 3 or 4. The fourth category that I noticed some big shifts in is social media. The politics that divide us saw a mass exodus of folks from social media sites like Facebook, for example, in favor of newer platforms like Parler, which doesn't impose the same kinds of rules on users that they feel Facebook does. I personally lost several Facebook friends to Parler. These friends have different political views than I, but we still get along. You know, we've always been divided. It's just now the division is being played out on social media 24/7 a day. So when it's in our faces all the time, it feels more amplified. It feels more raw. Some people I know have left social media completely. In fact, I think I've shared this previously. I personally took a 5-month break from Instagram beginning on August 1st. I deleted the app from my phone, and honestly, I didn't miss it a bit. Now, recently, I got back on Instagram for professional reasons, and I'm enjoying limited visits. I predict, I really do believe this, we will see more social media splintering in 2021 as more people make informed decisions about the role these platforms play in their lives. You know, people are going to discover, wow, the world didn't end because I'm not on Facebook, or the world didn't end because I wasn't on Instagram. In fact, for me, the world opened up in many ways. The fifth category here, guys, is cities. I love looking at real estate. It's a hobby of mine. And I've caught wind of several articles about the mass exit from big cities that has been happening since the pandemic hit. Several of my friends are realtors in various parts of the country. Home prices in close-in suburbs of popular cities like New York, San Francisco, and Seattle were already crazy before the pandemic. They are even crazier now. One friend of mine is looking to buy a place in her hometown of New Orleans, and she told me that the prices there are no better than in Portland, San Francisco, or Seattle. In other words, prices of homes are skyrocketing everywhere because when people can work remotely, they can live wherever they want. And so they're no longer chained to, for example, Silicon Valley if they work for one of the big tech companies. I know that many of the tech companies have offices around the world. However, before the pandemic, people truly were limited to living in certain regions. Now, not so much. So if we go back to number 2 on my list, which is how work has changed since mid-March, if you can work remotely from anywhere, why would you stay in a housing market with insane home prices if you could get more for your money somewhere else that also gives you a higher quality of life? Now, listen, I know that small town living or a less A-list city, for example, may not appeal to everybody. However, more people, especially millennials who are realizing, yeah, we'd like to have a house. We're tired of living in an apartment that's the size of a shoebox and paying $5,000 a month. Seriously, $5,000 a month in most parts of this country gets you a really nice house with a yard and maybe some landscaping and a pool. I mean, it comes down to quality of life. So this is a question on many a mind these days. Am I going to migrate? Am I going to move somewhere else? I say watch out for more migration away from cities to smaller towns where life is not as hectic, not as crowded, it's not as expensive. And yeah, give people a sense of putting down roots, which millennials eventually want to do because they're getting older, and many people realize, I'd like to have kids and I don't want to raise my kids in a shoebox in the city that cost me $5,000 a month. So Those are my 5 categories and my not so scientific predictions. I'd be curious to know what predictions would you add to this list? Are there any trends that you've been following? You can certainly let me know. There's a way to reach me over at pyppodcast.com. You can also find me on the social sites. LinkedIn, I play a lot on LinkedIn. I'm also back on Instagram, so you can always tag me there. Let me know. I love engaging with my listening audience, and it doesn't happen as often as I would like. I'd like to change that in 2021. So Team PYP, let me know what you're thinking about, if there's topics you'd like me to cover, if there's a guest you'd like to recommend. I love hearing from you. And I, of course, value the reviews you leave of the show, those wonderful 5-star reviews. It's so easy to do on Apple Podcasts. And reviews help other people find the show. My show has grown a lot this year, which I find interesting in terms of downloads. I'm super excited about that. It just means more people are tuning in and getting the amazing content that I'm committed to sharing here at the Play Your Position podcast. It's always a mouthful. That's why I say PYP for short, just a lot easier. So as we move into 2021, guys, I want you to let go of the nonsense that happened in 2020, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, all those things. This is a turning point for all of us to carry over the good lessons we learned from 2020, like be kind to each other, be patient with each other, let stuff go. That's a big mantra of mine. And also set some goals for yourself, some big leadership goals. How will you step up into leadership of your own life? And how will you step up into leadership of others' lives? And remember, they don't have to be so phenomenally out there that, you know, you're going, I'll never do that. Some people, truly, their goal for 2021 is to spend a lot of time getting to know themselves and what they really want. And again, to let go of the hustle and bustle that until lockdown really marked the online space, the constant mantra of, you know, you got to hustle your ass to get more. And I'm not against more. I like more. What I'm saying is take the time to look at what it is you really want, who you are, what is the position that you want to be playing right now in your life, not the one other people think you should be playing. But you guys know that I believe we are all leaders, first and foremost, of our own lives. And if that's as far as you get, hallelujah, because the world needs more of us to take our lives more seriously, to lead ourselves with confidence, self-acceptance, and grace. That's what makes the world a better place, because when you take care of you, it's a lot easier to take care of everything outside of you. So that's my message for today, team, is take care of you. If it means more mani-pedis, great. If it means more days at the spa, great. If it means more time off, great. Whatever it means to you, be the best you can be for yourself first. Treat yourself like the leader that you are, and give yourself permission to go after what it is you really want, and let go of the rest and see what happens. I'm excited for 2021. I've got great guests coming up already. Those episodes are recorded and will be dropping in January. I'll also have more of these audibles where I explore content at a deeper level and hopefully teach you something, leave you something to consider. And sometimes I may share things that you say, I don't agree with that. And that's great. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job when I do that. And I love you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this incredible journey of the Play Your Position podcast. Remember, it is always a great day to get out there and play your position. Happy New Year, everyone. This is Mary Lou Kaiser. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, before we officially say goodbye, I want to remind you that early bird pricing for my spring cohort of Elevate Your Expertise Leadership Mastery Program for Women is now available. Early bird pricing ends on January 15th, 2021. So if you are hearing this after January 15th, 2021, it's still a great deal. But for those of you who are listening early and you want to lock in your savings now, head on over to the link in the show notes page. I've made it super easy to find. You just poke it. It will take you to the landing page and you can learn more about this incredible program for women. Pass it on, share it with the people you know. Limited seats. I've only got room for 10. So it will sell out. I would love to have you join us if you are a woman of influence and want to take your leadership game to the next level. Check out Elevate Your Expertise Spring 2021. Would love to have you there.
Got a great key offensive strategy you like to share? Write to us at coach@pyppodcast.com or on Twitter, use hashtag PYP and let us know how you're running your ball into the end zone for those game-winning touchdowns.